tell me about what you're doing for the hospitals. I think it's a classical example where the system is working well.
Look, the hospitals across PNG were the first people to put their hand up. The system is best run at the site where it comes from. Each organisation or each department can feel like it's their own system. It looks like, they don't see anyone else's information. It looks like their own system. Hospitals in the past, when they've had issues, they've had to either get on the phone or sometimes even on a plane to come to Port Moresby to get things fixed up. So, the one that I remember was Mendy Hospital. There's a lady in Mendy. She actually came to one of our conferences in Wellington and did a talk and got a standing ovation.
Oh, sure.
Because of the stuff that she had to do. The stuff that she went through to make it work. Little lady and big heart.
Normally they talk big.
And she was just fantastic. And so they Model On was one hospital, but Mendy Hospital, they had access across satellite, I think, was their first choice at the time. This is going back probably 8 years. And they, staff, instead of having to try and get through to Port Moresby to get things fixed, they'd go and see the staff officer in the hospital, and they would fix things up.
Okay.
And that's what we're trying. Model On, you name them all now. But Port Moresby General Hospital obviously was an early one because they were in Port Moresby.
Right.
A lot more departments and agencies got direct access in Port Moresby, just because of the network. But the general manager at the Port Moresby General Hospital, he's pretty proactive, and he was finding that he had a lot of staff on strength, but not many coming to work.
Right.
So he got some we call them biometric devices. Doesn't really matter what they are, but this one is a thumbprint or a fingerprint, and that clocks people in, and when they leave, they do the same thing, and it clocks them out. And what Grant and his staff at the hospital did was take that information, and they, for a long time, had to manually interpret it and put information through to the payroll. We're just working with them now to completely automate that.
Okay.
So when that person clocks in and clocks out, a report will be done for a supervisor, and they'll say, yes, look, that person wasn't here, or no, I sent them to, somewhere else.
Can't be cheated.
No. Well, the supervisor still has the call.
Okay.
But what they found, there was a drop in cost initially, so because people weren't getting paid as much.
No.
Once people started feeling they weren't getting paid as much, they started coming to work. And that was the thing. And the few people that didn't want to change, they're probably not there now. But everyone else knows that they get a fair day's work for a fair day's pay, and they've got to be at work.
Is that across some of the other departments?
Look, it's a lot of departments are striving for that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I think the key is the automation of it. The key is that supervisors should be able to get a report every fortnight of what their staff attendance has been, and to give the go ahead that they're going to be paid, or the go ahead that they're not going to be paid.
Okay.
And that's the key.
All right.
It's very easy to say that you can automate all these things, but in the end, everyone, people have legitimate reasons.
Yeah.
They might be going to a meeting in another office or another agency or something. They mightn't have come to their work site, but they might be doing something else. So they just have to. Yeah. The supervisor has to.
Brendan, let me ask you this. It might be outside your area of where you can comment on.
Yeah.
But, government has a bit of a problem. It says there are ghost names, and there are people who are working but have different names, same person with different names and gets paid 3 times. Can that system address that and help with the...
Look, the system is only as good as the data that gets entered into it. Having said that, if someone's on the payroll and they're a ghost, it's my view, and this is just my view, and I've spoke to the government, is they probably don't have, they mightn't even have superannuation. They probably don't have courts deductions or other things that real people would have, unless they're trying to convince all those other people that they exist as well.
Okay.
So they'll have fairly simple profiles as far as pay goes. They probably don't have any. They're probably not going on leave, that sort of thing. The ghost can't fill out a leave form or go to supervisor to sign it. So in my view, if there are any, they'll have a certain profile, and if the data in the system was mined correctly, they'd be able to identify at least a likely list of who they might be. And my view, I'm a bit tough on this, but stop their pay. You know, the system will pay it back if they really do exist.
Right.
But if you stop their pay and say, look, we need to see you, we need to get your photograph. We're working with Minister Abel's group on the ID card to have the information passing from each database. So if it's on our database, we let them know. If it's on their database, they let us know. Having a photograph, and then the best thing then is for someone to sit down and say, I want to see everyone here. You get it in the Defence Force. They have a thing called they call a pay parade every few months, and the person has to turn up, show their face, check them off that they really do exist, and then they can continue to get paid. There's no reason why the government can't do the same. So the
registration thing, when that's done, and when do we expect this thing in operation? In other words. The registration, the national registration.
We're working with them just on public servants.
Okay.
The rest of the country that's not our concern.
All right.
We can't do much about that.
Okay.
But with public servants, we've got a plan to have every public servant on the database by I think it's July this year.
Okay. We are running out of time, Brendan. One point that I want to touch is can what you're talking about help SMEs? How can it help them?
Look, we can't compare to just having someone doing the pay, for 500 kina or a fortnight or 1,000. Well, probably maybe compare for 1,000. But for larger organisations where managers spend a lot of their time trying to fix problems, and the other thing that we haven't had a case of fraud yet. We carry insurance just in case it does happen, but our service to organisations, when they might say, oh, I'm not really sure about it, but quite often a bit later on they might have some situation where money's gone missing. They'll give us a call and ask us to come in and help. It's a service. We do it for I suppose the big news for us is we're not just a PNG based client base either. We're just in the process of having one of the large commercial banks go live across all of the South Pacific. And our staff here in Port Moresby will be the ones running the pay, doing all the data entry for them, running the pay.
Wow.
Fiji,
the Pacific,
Vanuatu, Solomons. We already do a couple of those countries, very small clients, but this is our first client where we'll be doing this service for them across the Pacific.
Wow.
Starts in a couple of weeks, hopefully.
All exciting. We are running out of time.
Yeah.
Brendan Coomb, thank you very much for talking to us.
Thanks very much.
Right. Brendan Coomb, the Managing Director of Concept. After the break, a report on land reform